Yes. Hello, can you hear me now? Hello and welcome to Retro Rallycross TV. We're broadcasting to you live from the Retro Rallycross studio, where you can join in the show via the comment section on YouTube. Joining me in the studio is Steve Nottage. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Shirley. Hi, Shirley. Isn't this exciting? I'm so delighted to have been the driver liaison officer with Retro Rallycross for the last few years and official model maker for Retro Rallycross. And here we are on our very first programme. All very exciting. Now, Shirley, can you tell us what have our viewers got in store for them this evening?
Well, of course, you're going to be opening your mailbox. We have Retro Rallycross driver Ray Morgan, who will be joining us in the hot seat, and we will be opening our new feature called Way Back When. The history of our sport is at the very heart of everything we do at Retro Rallycross, Steve, as you know, and we need to remember where we came from and never underestimate the importance of grassroots racing. It was on the 4th of February 1967 that Linden Hill hosted the very first Rallycross event, which was won by the late Vic Elford in a Porsche 911. And here's the current owner of that very Porsche now, Rob Russell, who will take us back to that all-important event.
Complicated sport.
As we've said, it was back in 1967, but the ITV programme on a Saturday afternoon, World of Sport, had a producer called Robert Reed. He needed a winter sport to replace the frequently cancelled horse racing. Rallycross, therefore, was born. The first event featured some surprising cars and drivers.
This car it was one of the demonstrator cars brought over from Germany. It was one of the very first right-hand drive 911s, and it was used as demonstrator. It was used for the Motor Magazine road test, and then Vic Elford, who was already a successful rally driver, he'd already been a works driver for various teams. He had seen that there was going to be this live televised event. He had finished third on the Monte Carlo rally recently before, and he asked his contacts at Porsche whether he could have a car to use in the event. And they said yes, go to the British importer and get them to lend you a car. So with their help, he was introduced to the Aldlington family, who were running AFN, and he borrowed their dealer demonstrator and he took it rallycrossing in absolutely standard form. They didn't modify it at all. He said not even change the tyres, no sump guards, nothing. And he was up against the works Cortinas, Brian Miller and Roger Clark. And of course, he had been a works driver for Ford, and they'd gone their separate ways, and there was a bit of a needle match between them, and he was clearly very, very competitive, and they spent the heats bashing against rubbing against each other, as you do in Rallycross, where all the excitement is, and that's was obviously part of that first event. And at the end of the event, he had they'd had quite a needle match in the final, and pretty much all of the panels had been damaged. One of the guys said there wasn't a piece of glass in it at the end of the event. So he won. He only won by 0.4 of a second, so it was a very tight finish, very exciting, as Rallycross is, as we've come to expect now, but obviously at the time that was a surprise. And the interesting part of the story is there was no mobile phones in those days, so when he got home, the importer had been watching it on live television, the Aldlington family, and they'd been phoning his wife all afternoon saying, he's smashing our dealer demonstrator up, what are you going to do? What's he doing to our car? So he said, he left it until quite late on Monday morning before going back with his tail between his legs and handing the car back. But all was forgiven by that time, because they'd had a number of inquiries as to what is this little German car? Can I part exchange my Alfa Romeo? Can I part exchange this? Can I part exchange that? And they literally realised race on Sunday and sell on Monday, and it was exactly that. And I think it's testament to the excitement that it had built through the day, which is exactly what Rallycross does. And it's events like this are just what the car does. It opens those doors, and to be welcomed into the Rallycross family as a guest basically is brilliant. And Retro Rallycross has clearly got a very, very good thing going on. It's very well organised, it's very friendly, it's getting all the right cars out and seen, and it's brilliant. I'm very, very impressed and honoured to be invited to come and show the car off.
The present day, Steve, where the Retro Rallycross Championship got underway at Lyddon, and we had 4 different winners for rounds 1 and 2 at Easter.
Oh, it's just wonderful having another full season of retro rallycross ahead of us, and with the 2 categories, retro and super retro, with racing evocative of those early years, 1967, as we've just been watching. And of course, Porsche's still important, although thankfully we don't have any Porsches racing with roof racks on them, as was shown there, German-registered 911 in that early scene. But yes, very exciting racing, as you can guarantee with Rallycross is always the way. And with 4 different winners across the 2 rounds, the 2 days, in retro, which is the up to 1660cc category, and super retro, which is the over 1660cc. And of course, retro itself is a fairly free category of rallycross, and Shirley, you just remind us of the year that the cut-off date is for retro rallycross cars.
Well, the cut-off date is the end of 1991, and the championship is open to all 2-wheel drive cars that were eligible to compete until that cut-off period, with the 2 class categories that you've just spoken about. Perhaps we should take a look at the calendar, should we, at this moment in time?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, for the 2024 championship, so that people can know where we're actually going to be, where they can see get their retro rallycross fix, hey Steve?
Well, that's where I'll be. All those venues there, can't wait. So we've had rounds 1 and 2, which were back to back over the Easter weekend. We've got as we're broadcasting today, we're just on the lead up to rounds 3 and 4 at Mondello Park in Ireland, where we'll be racing with our Irish friends, and always assured of a great welcome there. It's always lovely to see their enthusiasm for motorsport in general and rallycross in particular. Then a little break before August the 17th, back at Lyddon Hill, the home of rallycross, as we've seen already, where we'll be joining up with the BTRDA for a very large round. This will be quite some celebration. Then in October, rounds 6 and 7 will be in South Wales in the Pembrey Park circuit. A lovely venue, that one, very popular with many of the drivers. Before we finish over the with rallycross racing and fireworks at Lyddon Hill in early November. Shirley, I can't wait.
No, I know you can't. And one of the things you do actually enjoy is catching up with the drivers in the paddock. And here's a little reminder of when you had a chat with John Cross and Charlie French, the winners of round 1 and 2 at Lyddon Hill. But first of all, I really must apologise to you all for the audio quality. It's not quite so good on this one.
Well, round 2 has finished, and with our super retro winner, Mr. Charlie French. Congratulations, Charlie! What a race!
Yeah, what a race! Yeah. I don't know what to say, actually.
Well, very impressive from where I was. You must be very pleased with the way that
really
the car's still in its early days,
very early days, very, very early days. So, yeah, we only wound up the whoosh this morning, so...
Turned the wick up, did you?
We have turned the wick up, and I thought it might have been a bit too much, but actually it drives amazing, so all credit to the car.
It's obviously very rapid in a straight line. It also seems to go around corners like on rails.
The idea. There's been lots and lots of science involved, so yeah, we've been working really hard on our own cars and different ideas to put into this car. So yeah, it's been been a big learning curve, and it's paid off.
I suspect that you're not finished learning yet.
No, we've called a meeting tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
So we're having a big meeting tomorrow to discuss.
Because it's Tuesday night.
It's Tuesday night tomorrow.
You are the Tuesday night Rallycross.
Absolutely, every Tuesday in the calendar is booked forever. Yeah.
Especially so, even more so now that you're tasting the
now we need to be going. Yeah.
Champagne and everything else that flows with it.
And we're hungry for more. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we're hungry to see more.
Yeah, absolutely.
As this season looks like it should be a good.
We can't wait. We're absolutely buzzing. Yeah. Everyone's buzzing. There's been loads and loads of people gathering up. So yeah, big thanks to everyone that's here.
Well, towards the end of a very busy day on the first round of the 2024 Retro Rallycross Championship, our Super Retro winner was Mr. John Cross with his magnificent and slightly dirty Stratos. John, you've not been all your own way today, has it?
No, it started a bit slow. We've done so many mods to the car over the winter. I was a little bit wary of whether anything was going to break, so I started gingerly. And then in the third heat I thought, well, we'll go shit or bust, and it worked. So
you turned the wick up, in other words?
No, I just tried a bit harder. I should have had confidence in our own engineering straight from heat one and given it the beans straight away, but still, it worked out all right in the end.
Clearly. So the modifications, including a little bit of change on the dimensions of the car?
Yeah, we've lengthened it a bit to try and get a bit more stability, so it's had all new wishbones, new drive shafts. The drive shafts are at quite strange angles now. That was one of the things I was a little bit worried about, giving it full beans early on in case they turned into corkscrews or decided to part company, but no, touch wood, it's okay, and all I've got to do now is the same again on Monday to prove it wasn't luck.
So we've got the day off tomorrow to rest, and we're going to go over the car, make sure everything is as it should be.
I don't know whether we should clean the lucky mud off or what. We'll give it a once over tomorrow, but I think it's all okay.
And more of the same on Monday.
That's the plan.
Yeah. Whatever the weather.
I've got to win on Monday to prove it wasn't like today.
Well done, John. It's good start of the season. Always good to see you on the grid and in the paddock. So thanks for your time.
Okay, same again Monday evening, yeah? Interview,
Don't ask me. You make sure of that. There's nothing I can do about that.
Okay, I'll book you in now.
Oh, we love watching Steve in the paddock and listening to him chatting to the drivers. He's such a popular chap. But it's actually now time for me to put a driver in the hot seat, and I welcome Ray Morgan to the studio.
Hello, Shirley. Down here in Hastings. The weather hasn't been so good today down here. I always brag in that, oh yes, it's always nice in Hastings, but I must admit it hasn't been today.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't do anything about the weather, I'm afraid. So Ray, you've had a long racing career, which I believe began on two wheels.
Yeah, you ready then? Sorry, but I started when I was like 15, 16, motorbikes, mainly trials, and then I've done motorbike enduros, done a bit of kart racing, then had a car, done autocross, rallying, and then went on to Rallycross, which I still do a bit of karting and other stuff, but mainly Rallycross now. Hey, I'll tell you what, I've got this funny story. When we was up at Croft, we was rallycrossing up there, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and we sat down for a meal at lunchtime, and I didn't realise at first I was sitting next to Jimmy McRae, and I said, "Jimmy McRae?" He said, "Yeah," and I said, I started saying to him about rallying. I said, I used to do rallying, but I sort of packed up because it's so antisocial. You go off in the day and you don't see anyone all day, really, only your navigator and your service crew. I said, with Rallycross, I said, it's like really good. You're in one area, you got toilets, you got showers, you got cafes, bars and everything there. And I had a young family at the time, and it was just so so much more family orientated, and I'd done one. I was starting to say about Jimmy McRae. Yeah, I was saying to Jimmy McRae all this. I said it was so much better than rallying like that, and that's why I started doing it. And I said, and also you've got like no trees to hit, no ditches to go into, and the format of it, having 3 heats and a final, it works out okay. If you have a puncher, then you can, and you miss a heat, it's your fastest heats to count. So you still get into a final, or in those days it was a B final, and then you get into the A final. It's a consolation if you won it. And he was looking at me, and he really seemed to be taking it all in, you know. And anyhow, nothing much was said after that. We was having a little bit of a chat. But then it was televised. That meeting was televised, and it came out on telly about a month later. It showed us guys, the retro guys, going round and that. And then the reporter bumped into Jimmy McRae around the paddock, and he says, "Hey, Jimmy, you see you checking out the Rallycross? Do you fancy having a go?" And he says, "I can't do a Scottish accent, I'm afraid." He says, "He said, no, there's things about it that I like." He said, "There's no trees to hit, no ditches to go in. You're all centred in one place, and you've got a consolation that if you get a puncture or something, you can miss a heat and carry on." And I thought, I said that.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, we never did see him in Rallycross anyhow, so I think he still might come anyhow, so we'll have to see.
Well, we didn't see him in Rallycross, but we did have him at Croft as a special guest at one of our events. So yeah, he's had a taste of what it's all about. Your racing car, your current car, still capable of winning events and probably still capable of getting out there and winning the championship. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about it? About your car, that is.
Yeah, well, when I first started rallycrossing, I had a Chevette and a rally car, and I'd done a rally sprint. It was combined with a rallycross, and they had rally cars there, and you started off at 10-second intervals or something. I loved it. I really thought it was good. And so then I entered a rallycross in the old Chevette. Actually, you can see it there in the background behind me. That was my old white Chevette. And I entered a rallycross, and I was like pretty crap. I was near the back all the time. But you know, in those days it was a Winter Series one, and you had the top 10 guys were in the A final. The next top 9 were in the B final. The next top 9 were in the C final. And I think I qualified for the very last final, which was about the D one, and I won that. And I thought I'd won the world championship. So the Chevette went up. The Chevette went up for sale, and I bought a BDA Escort, Rallycross one, a Mark II Escort. I used that for years, and then I updated it to the Mark III. Basically, the Mark III Escort that I got at the moment, that is what they call a Gartrack G3, and the Mark 1 and Mark II Escorts are rear-wheel drive. When the Mark III Escort come out, it was a much more modern, fancy-looking shape, compared with the Mark II in the day, and but it's front-wheel drive, and everyone hated it. So this company called Gartrack, they turned it all round and made the engine drive, turned it from transverse to inline, and converted it rear-wheel drive. And mine was one of those cars. Originally, a guy called Mark Lloyd owned the shell and the car, and he used it a lot. He had a different engine in it, not BDA, and he'd done European championships and all sorts of things. And that was a few years ago. So I've owned the car for about 30 years, I think, nearly 28 years, something like that. And it's had a right hard old life.
Probably that is about right, 30 years, you know, because Mark Lloyd emigrated to Australia, and that was probably about between 25 and 30 years ago. So, yeah, it's done a lot of work then, that car.
Yeah, it's still
oh, sorry, Ray.
It's still a good car, though. It's not really quite up to the trouble is we've got so many turbo cars out there now that you know, it handles real good. There's no doubt about that, and it's only about 240 brake horsepower, whereas the turbo cars are about 400, I think, most of them. So it's struggling to keep up with them, but it's still a good car. It's a good all-round car. It handles reasonably well, goes reasonably well, gets off the line reasonably well. It doesn't do anything great, but it's still a good all-round car.
Well, you've won the championship 3 times, and now you're making it sound as if you've got ambitions then to go for a 4th, Ray. Is that right?
To be honest, Shirley, I think I'd really be struggling. I mean, people say to me that, oh, it was easy when you won the championship, Ray. But it wasn't. It was really hard. You know, we had some really good hard drivers. I mean, Lance in that Mini and James in the... I mean, that Beetle is like 500 or 600 brake horsepower, and it's really difficult to drive, and it was gone, you know, but of course you get on the corners and the old Escort will catch it up. But we've had some great racing. I mean, in the background at the moment is Lance Foster in the green Mini in front of the Porsche, you know, that shows how fast he was. And him and I, we had some really good battles because the Mini being front wheel drive, it handled totally different. And Lance's driving style is like an animal. He throws the car into a corner as fast as he possibly can, brakes as late as he can, and then if it comes out the other way, pointing in the right direction, it's a bonus, because quite often it doesn't. Whereas I drive the other way. I go slower into the corners. I like to set the car up and use what Escorts are good for, and that's getting the power down nice and early, and that's where they're really good.
Well, Lance, of course, was the 4th person to win the Rallycross Championship after you'd won your 3, and you were actually the only retro Rallycross champion that has had the John Button Memorial Trophy presented to you personally by Jenson Button. Yeah, tell us about that, Ray.
Yeah, I can remember it as though it was yesterday. It was quite an honour. You phoned me up and said that Jenson's going to be doing some practicing, something or other, an event at Lyddon. If I went along, he'd present it personally to me, and it was really quite an honour. It is a charming bloke. He's a lovely bloke to meet. Him and David Coulthard were there, and you know, at one stage we were talking before he went out in the Beetle, and I said, this thing's like 600 brake horsepower, you know, and it handles atrociously. And that's when he was a Formula One driver and was driving for McLaren, and McLaren was particularly slow then, I think. And he said, oh, it sounds like it's got more power than my Formula One car.
Oh, well, Jenson, of course, was driving that Beetle that day, as you say. So let's take a look back, Ray, at one of your earlier races where you were challenging James for them. Oh, okay. So we've just been told we actually haven't got that video at the moment, so we can't do that. So I tell you what we will do, Ray. If you stay with us, oh, we do. Director's just told me that he's found that video. So yes. Oh goodness me. Oh, the trials and tribulations of live television, folks.
Back with Retro Rallycross then, the first of two finals for them. This is for the pre-1982 cars, and it should be Ray Morgan and James Harrold who start as the favourites in the Escort and the Beetle. Well, it looks like it's Morgan who's made the best getaway as they head down towards Clervaux. No, James Harrold pulls ahead of him in the Beetle. In third place, it's Mark Griffin in his Ford Fiesta. Then it's Ian Biaggi in the sole surviving Mini in fourth place after we lost Lance Foster in that crash in Heat 3. So James Harrold leads then in the VW Beetle. Can he hold off the ex-Mark Lloyd Escort of Ray Morgan? Very much in the mould of Martin Shanker, Mr. Rallycross in the 80s. The power of the BDA Cosworth engine telling here as they come up towards the right-hander before the hairpin. Harrold muscles the Escort out wide, and the Beetle still holds the lead. Into the hairpin they go then. James Harrold leads Ray Morgan. Third place it's Mark Griffin, then Ian Biaggi is fourth, and Paul Haig in the Vauxhall Nova is fifth. Morgan almost out on the grass. He is out onto the grass as they come back towards the tarmac. That's lost him some momentum. Could we see an upset here? Ray Morgan was the clear favourite for pre-82 victory coming into this meeting. But James Harrold could have the legs on him here in the Beetle, and Mark Griffin's not far away in that beautiful Mark I Ford Fiesta either. The Trevor Reeves look-alike. James Harrold's Beetle, reminiscent of the likes of John Button, Øyvind Varland, Mikael Nordstrom as well, the former British Grand Prix winner, began his career in a Beetle. Ray Morgan's closed back up on James Harrold though. Here they come over the loose infield section. Morgan's lining up for an attack, and Mark Griffin's in there as well. Three of them together for the lead. Morgan sideways. The last lap board goes out for James Harrold in the Volkswagen Beetle. Ray Morgan closes up on him. Is he going to try and make a move here as they come onto the tarmac? Yes, he is. The power of the Escort tells, and Ray Morgan takes the lead in the ex-Mark Lloyd Escorts. Harrold down to second. Ray Morgan has been one of the stars of the Retro Rallycross scene, running very deep into the turn there at Hawthorne. He's held the lead. The light really is fading here at Croft, it has to be said. The drivers might be struggling a bit to see where they're going. Harrold in second place. Thankfully the dust has been kept to a minimum. Still in third place is Mark Griffin, but it's looking good for Ray Morgan in the Ford Escort Mark III Cosworth BDA, raced in the early 80s by Mark Lloyd. Is going to come through and take the win in the hands of Ray Morgan. He wins the pre-82 final. James Harrold comes over in second, and Mark Griffin is third. Great stuff there then from the oldest cars appearing here today. A flash of flame from the Beetle's exhaust. Here's the result then. Ray Morgan confirmed as the winner ahead of James Harrold, with Mark Griffin in third in the Fiesta, Ian Biaggi in the Mini, and Paul Haig in the Nova completing the top five. Let's hear from race winner Ray Morgan.
Oh, well done, cracking drive.
Okay, no, it's really good. I didn't have it all my own way. That Beetle is so fast. You can't believe how fast that Beetle is. And it was really difficult overtaking him. I've had a few races with him today, and he beat me once, and I beat him once, but I beat him in the final, and that's the most important thing.
Well done indeed then to Ray Morgan. The newer retro cars next. This is the 1982 to 87 field, and this should be a straight fight between Rob Gibson's Metro 6R4 and Gary Dixon in one of the three Vauxhall Astras. They're on the front row of the grid along with Vince Bristow's BMW. Away goes Rob Gibson. He's already clear of the field. A super start by the yellow 6R4. He leads into Clervaux. Gary Dixon in second place and Vince Bristow in third. Jim and Dave Black are next in the order in their two Astras, along with Paul Smith. He's up into fifth place there in the Volkswagen Polo Coupe ahead of Dave Black with the new gearbox in his Astra. Rob Gibson leads around the first lap then, chased by Gary Dixon in the purple and white Vauxhall Astra, second in the MSA Super National points this year against much more modern machinery. And it's Vince Bristow, Mr. Sideways, in his ever fishtailing BMW in third position. That perhaps the most modern car in the retro field today. Both Dixon and Bristow normally run in the Super National category. But having to give best here to the flying 6R4 of Rob Gibson, former British and European Rallycross star in the days of the Group B cars, alongside the likes of Will Gollop, Martin Shanker and so on. Vince Bristow slides the BMW through Hawthorne. He's in a safe third place ahead of Dave Black in his Astra. His fourth, then Jim Black and Paul Smith. brilliant show the Retro Rallycross guys and girls have put on here at Croft this weekend. Many long-time motorsport fans here to see this wonderful Group B 6R4. It's a shame we didn't have the RS200 in working order as well as a contemporary to the Metro 6R4, but Bill Watson's car sadly not able to run this weekend. Into the last lap we go then of this 82 to 87 Retro final. No combining the times this time, there are individual awards to both sets of drivers. Gary Dixon looks safe in second ahead of Vince Bristow, but it's all about the wonderful 6R4. Rob Gibson began his rallycross career in the early days of the sport in a Porsche 911 before switching to this famous 6R4. In European competition it rarely finished with a straight panel on it, but Rob not quite as wild as he used to be, but still very, very quick, and he takes the Retro Rallycross final for the 82 to 87 cars. Magnificent drive by Rob Gibson. Gary Dixon holding off Vince Bristow to come home in second place, and behind them is Dave Black in his Vauxhall Astra. We'll confirm the result in a second of that excellent race then, as Jim Black and Paul Smith at the back of the field come home in the Astra and the Polo. Well done, and thank you to Retro Rallycross for an excellent show here at Croft this weekend. Here's the results of that one then. Rob Gibson the clear winner ahead of Gary Dixon, with Vince Bristow in third, Dave and Jim Black fourth and fifth, and Paul Smith completing the finishes.
Oh, that was good. We do enjoy Croft, don't we? It's a shame that we don't go there anymore. But Ray, thank you so much. You've been absolutely brilliant, a brilliant star for us tonight. And I want you to stay with us, if you will, please, as we welcome Steve back into the studio. And Steve, you're going to open your mailbox now, I hope.
I certainly am, Shirley. One of the things that we're looking forward to seeing in the future, as we do these broadcasts on a month-by-month basis, is some feedback from yourselves. We want to see your letters and your photographs and videos and things like that. And we have already had some letters. So I'm going to open up my mailbox. And the first letter, here it is, from Barry Lloyd of Northampton. Hello, Retro Rallycross, says Barry. You ask people to contact you with images they have from the early days of Rallycross. I have followed Rallycross at Linden Hill for years. The circuit is still the best in the UK. We especially enjoyed the European Rallycross events and watching the great Martin Skanker racing. I have many Rallycross pictures, and I will bring mine with me next time I come to Linden. If they are of use, I'm happy for you to borrow them and copy them. Well done to all involved. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you, Barry. I'm sure we will. We've been going for 12 seasons now, or is it 13?
12.
With no ends in sight. In fact, we're growing. Each year we seem to have more cars involved, and such a variety of cars. We saw that with the film just then. The amazing variety of shapes and sizes of cars, and of course difference in shapes and sizes of the drivers too. So everyone's welcome. I might get told off for that comment, so apologies.
Yes, are we allowed to even say that?
No, rewind that and we'll edit it out later. So we do, in all seriousness, we do want to see your letters, your questions, and your photographs. We want to share the memories. A lot of what we do here in Retro Rallycross is rekindling old memories, whether it's playing with scale electric track and recreating that in real scale on the Rallycross track, or sharing photographs. Just please do keep the letters coming. We have another letter which will pop up on the screen, and it's from our old friend Simon Betteridge, who's been on the Rallycross scene for many, many years. And he writes, "Dear Shirley, it's always good to catch up with you and Rob. you always know that Brian and I enjoy the Retro Rallycross Championship. Retro has taken me back to my childhood. The first memory I have was from the Snetterton Winter Series in 1981 as an 8-year-old. We can work out how old he is then, can't we? I went on to travel all over with Brian. He has raced at all the great rallycross tracks. It was a fantastic experience for a little boy to have a dad who was a racing driver. I have lots of great memories and made some good friends along the way. My family keep in touch with them, especially Arthur Debenham. In recent years, I've been able to grow my portfolio. You've seen some of them. It's a huge collection, and as promised, I will be sharing these with you in the future. Brian sends his regards. Simon Betteridge. And yes, Simon, we have had the pleasure of just a small portion of your portfolio of wonderful Rallycross photographs, and we're looking forward to seeing and sharing a lot more in the future. Now, we do have another letter, which, strangely enough, forms a bit of a challenge to the host.
Oh my goodness,
hopefully not too
pressure.
Early. Maybe Ray can help you out as well. So let's get this third letter up on the screen. And it's from Richard Farrington of Atherstone, Warwickshire. Dear Retro Rallycross, that's us. Your series is the best in the British Rallycross Championship, and I'm making plans to get tickets for the Legends race in July. It's great to see all the older cars back out again. My dad travelled to many events from the early 1970s. He talked about some tracks I've never heard of, so I have a question for you. Brace yourself, Shirley. Can you tell me how many tracks have held rallycross races over the years? Best wishes and keep up the good work, Richard Farrington of Atherstone. Well, thank you for your letter and thank you for your question, Richard. Okay, Shirley?
How many tracks have run rallycross over the years? Crikey. Well, I will have been to many, if not all of them. Wow. I've no idea. I've no idea. Ray, help me here. Surely you must be able to put some sort of a figure onto that.
Well, I've been racing for 30 years or something like that. I'm hopeless with things like this, but I can remember racing, obviously, Silverstone a few years ago when they had the World Championship round there. Swindon, that's one that packed up, turned into a housing estate. Bloody disgusting, isn't it, eh? And I can't think of any others offhand.
No, all the obvious ones. Oh, all the obvious ones. Yeah, all the obvious ones. We can just rhyme off, can't we? But there are many, many more. Right. Who did you say that was, Steve? Richard.
That's Richard. Yes, it set us quite a challenge.
Okay, so Richard, I want to say to you that was such a great question. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you 2 complimentary passes to a Liddon Hill round of your choice. I think we should do that, don't you? Don't you, Steve?
That's a lovely idea.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do, Steve. I'm going to throw it out to the people out there, and I will send 2 more passes for a Liddon Hill event to anyone who gives us the correct answer. Anyone who gives us the closest number of events will receive a Retro Rallycross goodie bag. And there's prizes to win out there, Steve. So I think people should get involved in this one.
Well, that's a lovely idea, Shirley. That's very generous. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you've heard the challenge. So please do write in.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing from you. You must really keep in touch with us, please, because we love that at Retro Rallycross. Steve, Ray, I think that's about all we've got for this particular show. We're about to head off to Mondello Park for rounds 3 and 4 of the Retro Rallycross Championship. And I want to thank you, Steve and Ray, for taking part. And thank you, people, as well, for watching. Don't forget, here's the places that you can see us on screen for the next round at Mondello Park on the 25th and 26th of May. So you won't miss a thing. You can catch it all there. Yes. So thank you, Steve, and thank you, Ray, for taking part. And also thank you out there for watching. It's always a pleasure to present Retro Rallycross to you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channels. And we look forward to seeing you next time.